Now, what's interesting is I've pulled out 4 coping mechanism styles that people typically will fall into. And so we can look at these. You might go, wow, that sounds familiar. Maybe you fall into all of these. But, these are some common things that the styles that we fall into. The avoider. This is someone who is going to cope by moving away from the discomfort. It shows up as numbing, procrastination, emotionally shutting down, withdrawn from conflicts or decisions. It comes with the belief system of if I don't engage, I won't get hurt. So again, you're looking at someone who has gotten hurt in the past, and that hurt was so emotionally painful that they have created the coping mechanism. The fastest way to not get hurt is to stay safe by avoiding things, right? That's by numbing out, procrastinating, however you might see that show up. So think about in your life right now, what is it that you're moving away from? What discomfort, and where did that discomfort come from? What hurt in the past, whether it was rational or not, at the age that you were, are you avoiding? And how does that work for you now, right? Because at this point, it may be showing up that your avoidance is showing up in stagnation, loss of opportunities. Maybe you're emotionally disconnected. Maybe you're not feeling as close to people as you would like. So we can also look at where in your life, what are the things that you're feeling and how are they showing up? Are those the costs of being an avoider? And if it's avoidance, then we're going to begin to work on shifting that. So here's the other one, controller, right? Are you someone who needs to take charge to feel safe? Maybe you're that person that's sitting at the table. It's like, if I'm not talking, then no one's going to talk. And therefore I need to be the one to starts making conversation. Maybe you're micromanaging. Maybe you're over planning, perfectionism. Do you have difficulty trusting people, needing to predict outcomes? This is all here in the controller. These are the behaviors that are coming out, the coping mechanisms, right? Because again, your subconscious belief is if I manage everything, nothing can go wrong. And that's where we want to look at, again, the subconscious trigger pain point is something went wrong. It went wrong and it was my fault. It went wrong and it was painful. It went wrong and I never want to have that happen again, right? Maybe it was a relationship. I did this and I never want that to happen. So if I'm perfect in a relationship again, if I control every bit of it, I'll never have that happen again. And while that thinking could be true, you'll find that history does not repeat itself in the same way twice, that it doesn't help. And these become exhausting. They strain relationships. You don't feel like you're supported ever, and it becomes a little toxic. So that's something, the controller. And you might find that you fall into all these categories, right? We all have the propensity to be everything, or it can be a little bit of everything everywhere. Right. But remember also, I'm going to go back to the controller. All of these have fear involved. And so they can also be stress states that it's like, what in my environment needs to be shifted to? It doesn't always have to be that you need to be shifted. It might be the environment and things around you aren't working for you too. The pleaser, we've talked about the pleaser a lot. This one certainly resonates with me in my past. It's safety through connection and approval, right? It's like you love people so much, you want to connect to them, you want to be with them, you want them to like you. You're saying yes when really you want to say no, you're absorbing others' emotions, right? That's that sympathy versus empathy. The difference being empathy is I feel that, but I don't need to jump in the hole with you. Sympathy is like, oh, you're in a hole, let me jump in with you too. And then you're both stuck in the hole. You can minimize your needs. Again, this is that caregiver energy. It doesn't matter what I want, it matters what you want. And you're avoiding conflict because conflict, again, if we look at the subconscious belief is if everyone around me is okay, then I'm okay. And so it leads to self-abandonment, resentment, identity confusion, because at the end of the day, when people don't need you as the people pleaser, then what? And you burn out. The performer and overachiever. This can also show up as perfectionism. You earn your worthiness through achievement. That means that your only way to feel worthy would be by the accomplishments that you get. And where do you get that achievement? Is it through the things that you're doing, the actions you're taking, or is it from others? That has to be looked at. So you might see that it shows up as overworking. Your value is your productivity, right? How productive are you? You might find that you're working so much that that's the only way you can feel valued in life. And these would be good questions to look into. Like, what does value mean to me? Is it from approval from others or myself? You're constantly looking to self improve. You're having difficulty resting or sitting there because you're constantly needing to do. And again, that never enough, not good enough, not smart enough, it all is going to show up here. And your subconscious belief comes, if I excel, I can't be rejected or fail, right? Because failure is not an option. If I fail, that's your pain point, that failure, that rejection, that internal belief system of something that you did caused all of this catastrophic stuff to happen. Now, we are humans, but we're animals, but we are egotistical. Our subconscious mind is pure safety concern for me, right? And that's okay. So when we go into those stress states, it's not unusual for you to be the point of the who, like the focus. The costs right now you might find in your life, you're feeling burned out, chronically stressed, have low self esteem. You might have dependency on external validation. So, all of these things might be clues into, oh, maybe my coping mechanisms are the performer. And how are they showing up? When was this needed? And is this really needed right now? So underneath these 4, you're gonna find some other ones show up. These are sort of usually buried or secondary. The intellectualizer, I see this all the time in my clients. This is where we're thinking instead of feeling. And if you take a moment to listen to your language when you're talking or to other people, you typically people are like, "Oh man, I think," it's like, "I think this is what's going on," instead of feeling, right? We tend to live in our head so that we can avoid what we're emotionally feeling because emotions are heavy, they're hard, they demand to be felt, and they're strong and they're scary. And sometimes they're so strong that they're hard to sit with, right? And that's where that core belief that you're going to see at the bottom is if I stay stuck in my head where I can make it logical, I don't have to feel my emotions and they won't overwhelm me. And so, if you don't have coping mechanisms in terms of how to manage emotions, you're going to feel overwhelmed quite often. And that leads to overanalyzing, rationalizing, avoiding being vulnerable, stuck in loops instead of taking action. And again, these are stress states. There is probably something outside that is all happening that is causing you to go into these overwhelmed states and then going, I got to think my way out of it, first feeling your way out of it. The other sub state is called the rebel, the defier. We've seen these people. They're the people who are resisting rules, expectation, or perceived threats. And they're doing this. It's kind of, it shows up in self sabotaging, pushing people away. Because it's like, if no one controls me, like no one controls me, they don't want to be controlled. There's a fear of being controlled. So if I resist that control, then I'm safe. And so we need to look at with these type of personalities, like, what is it about being controlled? When were you controlled? And how did rebelling against that keep you safe? How is it working? Because it probably did. But now maybe it's showing up in ways that, like, it's not helpful. Maybe it's causing you to have no close relationships, pissing people off, being outspoken. Again, they may be conflict like they want more conflict so they can speak up for themselves. Maybe they were put down a lot. And so that rebel in them, that's the perceived threat.